Okay, let's continue. Okay, online people, please confirm, am I audible to everyone? Everyone, please confirm, am I audible to online people? Okay, I think perfect, it's audible. Okay. Good morning. Okay, please continue, everyone. Join quickly. Good evening. Okay, perfect. Let's continue. So, in this particular class, we will discuss completely, the strategic plan for the upcoming CSIR NET and SET exams. Okay, all right. Let's try to understand why the CSIR NET and SET exams are very difficult. Of course, compared to the SET, CSIR NET will be at most difficult. Okay, so first, what are the various entrance exams that MSc completed student can write? Okay, so majorly everyone knows that NTA CSIR NET. See, in MSc, all different streams comes under one single umbrella of life sciences. Whether you are botany, zoology, biochemistry, biotechnology, molecular biology, genetics, whatever the discipline you may belongs to, we comes under generally life sciences. So we can write CSIR NET, and especially MSc people can write ICMR JRF. One of the fundamental difference between the CSIR NET and ICMR JRF is ICMR JRF having a fixed fellowships. Okay, hardly it will be 150 fellowships only. Okay, throughout the year, and this exam happens only once in a year. Okay, when it comes to the CSIR NET, as you are aware, this happens twice in a year, once in the month of June and once in the month of the December. Okay, and here fellowships will be varied. Okay, but I'll give you an approximate fellowship per year. We can consider 2000 to 3000 JRF fellowships approximately. Okay, and ICMR JRF, mostly people from the agriculture background or who are strictly botany or plant physiology or plant genetics, those people can write this ICMR JRF. And people who are from biotechnology background, especially, one of the finest exam is DBT JRF. Now the government of India is deciding that they want to merge CSIR NET and DBT JRF as a single exam. Okay, the syllabus also proposed, but it has to be accepted. Once it accept, maybe it will be implemented from the next year. That time syllabus will be mostly similar. We will see that currently CSIR NET having 13 subunits. When they merged both, it is together 14 subunits, and among those 13 subunits, 10 subunits are as usual. Okay, these 3 subunits they modified into remaining 4 subunits, and they have added more plant biotechnology, animal biotechnology, bioprocessing, bioinformatics and bioanalytical techniques. But if it is accepted by all the people, it may implement from the next year. So by this year, mostly the syllabus will be same as usual. Okay, even the syllabus got changed, 85% it is similar. Now apart from this, we can write GATE BT as well as GATE Excel also. GATE BT as well as GATE Excel. And GATE BT, most of the people from the biotechnology background, they can write it. And when it comes to the GATE Excel, all the people can write the GATE Excel. Okay, see, I mean to say botany people or zoology people, biochemistry people, biotechnology people, all can write this particular exam. Okay, now see, for MSc students we have this many exams that we can write, but among all the exams, the most prominent exam will be the CSIR NET only. What is the reason why it is only the most important exam? Some people will get a valid doubt, why I cannot do the PhD exam by using the gate. Of course, through the gate also we can do the PhD, but most of the institutes will prefer the net over the gate. Why? What is the exact reason behind that is, suppose example, I am just giving you an example. This is not happens all the time. Suppose example, there is a ICSR Institute, Indian Institute of Science and Education Research. We have more than 9 ICSRs are there throughout India. So what happens in this particular ICSR? Let's consider they are having 10 departments. From each department, they will take hardly 2 to 3 people into the PhD program who qualified the gate. And suppose example, they are having 10 vacancies. So hardly 2 to 3 they will fill via using gate, and remaining most of the post, okay, most of the post they will fill through the CSIR net, and some people will fill through the DBT. Okay, but if you want to become a lecturer, you are not eligible to write these exams. Okay, so if you want to work as assistant professor or degree lecturer, mandatorily you have to write only CSIR net exam, that is only highly eligible. Some people will think that through the GATE Excel also they will allow us to enter into the lectureship. Some people will take you because you qualified GATE Excel, but officially if you want to become a lecturership in terms of the government, you have to write the CSIR net only. And what is the most common point among all? The most common point among all, stipend is almost similar. Okay, I have not included the HRA. HRA will be varied in exam to exam. Average HRA will be 15 to 30% of the HRA. Suppose if you add 30% to this 30,000, it will be around 40 to 41,000 you will get every month first 2 years in your JRF. Okay, once you promote to the SRF, it will become around 55,000. Okay, now why CSIR exam is really difficult? What is the exact reason? See, from 2011 or before 2011, the exam is completely subjective. Completely subjective. From 2011 only they made the exam completely objective. In one simple words, why most of the people cannot crack the exam is, CSIR net exam is not at all about the subject knowledge. It is completely about application of the subject knowledge. Okay, so if you do not have application or analytical skills, it is impossible to crack this particular CSIR net exam. So see, because if you consider 75 questions in the part C, an example I am saying, out of 75 questions in the part C, hardly 15 questions will be direct, only 15 or less than 15 we can say. Remaining all the 60 are experimental, analytical, logical, numerical and graphical, which checks your application knowledge. Whenever you are entering into the research field, to check your applicative knowledge, most of the questions will be analytical, including the DBT JRF also. Now, very important here, cutoff. So most of the students will prepare for the exam randomly without knowing their category cutoff. Suppose example, if you belongs to a general category and if you keep the target of out of 200 I have to get 160, then only I will qualify. Okay, if you are trying for 160, trust me, you don't get even 60 also. Okay, so we should always be specific towards the cutoff. Okay, so I am just showing you here average. If you consider the junior, I mean to say JRF, for general category, see here, it is always above 99 percentile. Okay, when I consider it as a marks, I am telling you an average. Okay, it will be in the range of 120 to 122, an average. So there is a slight difference between general category, OBC and EWS. Okay, so EWS category as well as the OBC category is slightly different. I can say there is a difference of only 1 to 2 marks, that's all, in between EWS and OBC. So I can say for EWS and OBC, for JRF I am saying, for JRF, see, for general category it is 99, but here it is only 96. I can say if you score in between 100 to 105, I am saying 105 also maximum, you will get the JRF for the EWS and OBC. When it comes to the SC category, if you score in between 90 to 95, so let's consider 92 to 95, you can easily get. When it comes to the ST category, you can keep the target of 88 to 90 marks. I am talking about the JRF. Okay. Now, when it comes to the LS, you people can reduce. How much percent you can reduce for the general category? Reduce 2%, 2%, 2%, 2% and 2% here. Okay. This is how the marks will be varied. So, I can say that here average, hardly you have to get, I am talking about general category, 110 to 115. When it comes to the especially EWS and OBC category, for the lecturership, you have to get hardly 90 to 94. This will be the maximum. And I'll just combine for the SC and ST category, I'm just combining. If you get 88 marks or above 88 marks, I am talking about marks, you can easily get it. Some people will say that I got the, please come. Some people will say, no, I got the percentile of 85% and I lost in 3 percentile, which means that you lost around, I can say that 6 to 10 marks you lost. Okay, so it is very important, instead of the percentile, you keep the target. For SC, ST category, I will tell you the safest score is 95 out of 200 marks. Undoubtedly, you can crack the exam, whether it is the JRF or LS. Right. Now, we have a separate category got introduced, that is admission to only PhD program. So, everyone knows that the only disadvantage with this category is you don't get any kind of a stipend. But if you observe, see here, there is a vast difference. Here for OBC category, 94 percentile will be the LS cutoff. But here you see here, 88, which means that out of 200, if you get 75 marks also, you can get this. Out of 200. But you do not get any kind of a stipends. Okay. Some universities what they will do, it is not at all considering to all universities. Some universities, if you qualify the CSIR NET, in the PhD program also they will take you, and if that institution having their own fellowship, they will provide, because they will look for only whether the candidate qualified the CSIR NET or not. That's all. But 90% of the institute, they never ever give the stipend on their own. You have to get the stipends only from the respective institutes. Apart from this, so these are the entrance exams that we can write. That is these major 5: CSIR NET, JRF, ICMR, DBT and GATE. Apart from this, in India, we have vast institutes in terms of the research which will conduct their own entrance test. Among those, some of the top institutes located in various states: CDRI, Central Drug Research Institute, which is located in the Lucknow. They will conduct their own exam. At the same time, they will also take the students who qualified the CSIR NET. And a very prominent institute located in the Hyderabad, CCMB, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, IICT, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology, which is also located in the Hyderabad, NII, National Institute of Immunology, it is located in the Delhi. Okay. NIV, National Institute of Virology, okay, it is located in the Pune. These all institutes will conduct mostly their own entrance tests. At the same time, they will also take the candidates who qualified the CSIR NET. But if you decided you want to become the lecturer, except this, there is no other option when it comes to the nationwide. But when it comes to the statewide, we are having the SET exam. Okay. But in especially all these South Indian states, they will prefer NET over the set. But in order to write the degree lecturer or assistant professor, set is the major preference they will consider, which is an eligibility, that's all. Okay. Now, why this exam is really tough? What is the major reason? In very simple words, the first reason is why the exam is very tough: low number of fellowships. Okay. Then second one is most important reason, difficulty level. And third one, massive competition. These are the three major reasons why people cannot crack the exam in the first attempt, and some people cannot crack even in the second attempt also. Okay. Now, how to overcome this? And is it really necessary to cover all the 13 subunits? And it is a very important question. When it comes to the general category students, it is mandatory we have to cover 11 subunits compulsory, minimum of 11. And if you read 12th and 13th unit at least 45%, it is easy to crack it. When it comes to the remaining all the categories, if you read 10 units 100% and 11th unit at least 50%, you can easily crack the exam. Okay. Now, the biggest challenge, most of the students having a very good knowledge and they will try to answer every single question which leads to the failure in the exam. So, our CSIR NET having actually three parts, part A, part B and part C. Part A having how many questions? 20 questions. Out of 20 we have to answer how many? 15. 15 into 2, 30. Okay. It is completely aptitude reasoning part. Okay. Then when it comes to the part B and part C, which is the core paper, so together comprises 170 marks. In part B, how many questions will come? Part B, how many questions will appear? 50. Out of 50, we have to answer 35. 35 into 2, 70 marks. Part C, see when it comes to the part C, how many questions are there? 75 questions. Out of 75, we have to answer only 25. 25 into 4, 100. Now you see the choice here, almost thrice. Out of 75, we have to answer only 25. I don't know, but according to my knowledge, so far no one answered all 25. Okay, the highest will be always 24, or one or two times some people answered the 25 questions. Okay, so now what is the most important challenge? This is most important challenge here. It is not at all necessary that you have to answer every single question. Careful. It is not at all necessary that you have to answer every single question. All of you remember very carefully, I am telling you an average to all of you, especially for the unreserved category. From part A, hardly, how many questions are there? 15. Out of 15, if you answer, listen my statements correctly, 5 correctly, one second. Out of 15, if you answer 5 correctly without negative marking, obviously you get 10 marks here. And trust me, even though you did not touch the aptitude, if you belongs to life sciences, you can answer 2 questions easily. At least one question comes from the life sciences only, a very tricky manner. And other question you can easily answer without preparation also. With minimal preparation, you can answer easily 5 questions. And OBC category, ST, SC also, remember at least 5 we have to answer. In the part B is the most challenging one compared to the part C this time. Part B, how many questions are there? 50 are there, we have to answer only 35. So remember, out of 35, the safest is 20. But whatever the 20 you answer, all 20 should be correct. Then only try to attempt the 20. So 20 into 2, 40 marks. 40 plus 10, 50. Then the part C, now understand very correctly. Out of 75 questions, a general category candidate has to answer 20 compulsory. Remaining OBC category, if you answer 18, ST, SC category, if you answer 16 to 17 correctly, So 16 means how many marks will get? Let's consider 17. How many marks will get? 17 fours. 17 fours are how much? How much? 98. Huh? How much 17 fours? Oh my god. 17 fours are how much? 17 fours are how much? From where? You all start second class, huh? 68 plus 40, 108 plus 10, which is the 118. This is the safest score for unreserved category. So when it comes to the OBC, you remember I am telling you the most safest. If you answer 15 also enough. 15 into 4, 60, 100 plus 10, 110. Undoubtedly you can qualify the JRF only. If your aim is lectureship, I am talking about apart from the general category. All other category students answer just 15 correctly out of 75. Answering 15 questions out of 75 is not a rocket science, you can easily answer, but you require a bit of intelligence. Okay, hence it's not necessary to attempt all the questions. Now, compared to the North India, I am not discriminating, this exam will be least qualified by Telugu states only. Okay, very less number of students will qualify either due to lack of awareness or due to lack of a proper preparation. Okay, now in this exam I will tell you one very important thing. We require undoubtedly 98% of hard work and we require 2% of intelligence. Okay, undoubtedly you will qualify because some people are exclusively from botany. So they do not have a greater idea about zoology. Some people are exclusively from the biotechnology. They can't read botany and zoology very elaboratively. And some people are surprisingly completely from different backgrounds such as B.Pharm, M.Pharm and PharmD programs. For them it is completely new. Okay, even though it is completely new, with a little smart work we can easily crack this exam. Now I will always tell you, if you are preparing for the exam very first time, the idealized preparatory time is minimum 6 to 9 months. Okay, if you think some people will say, no, I want to join the crash course and I want to crack the exam. Even though you are super intelligent, you can't crack at once. Okay, I mean to say you have to spend minimum. Suppose if you are having a very good knowledge in your MSc level, if you read 6 months also you can crack, but you should have a very good applicative knowledge during your MSc programs only. Now, let's understand this syllabus analysis very correctly. See, 90% of the students who are preparing for the exam, they do not know even the syllabus. Okay, without knowing the syllabus, they always read randomly. It doesn't matter, friends, whatever the category you may belongs to, whether general, OBC, ST, SC or PWD, it is very important. You have to read 1 to 6 units mandatorily. If you skip any one of the unit among this 1 to 6, you can't crack the exam. It is impossible because 1 to 6 are always interconnected with the other units. So unit 1 to 6 are mandatory. Then unit 8 genetics, unit 10 ecology, unit 11 evolution, unit 13 methods in biology or analytical techniques. So it's mandatorily everyone has to read all these 10 units compulsory, then only you can crack. Okay, then remaining unit 7 human physiology, unit 9 diversity life forms, unit 12 applied biology. Among these you can choose any 1 or 2 units according to your MSc specialization. Suppose your MSc is zoology, human physiology is very easy to you. Suppose your specialization is biotechnology, you can choose unit 12 applied biology. So depending on your specialization you can choose, but it is mandatory you have to read unit 1 to 6, 8, 10, 11, 13. So without this 10 units, consider you can't crack the exam. Now, see, if you consider the total average number of marks that comes from every single unit, everyone just try to understand, I am giving you the average. If you consider the part C, average 5 questions will appear. from the biochemistry. 5 into 4, 20 marks, average 4 to 5 part B questions will appear, which means 8 to 10 marks. So an average 26 to 30 marks will comes from one single unit, that is the biochemistry. Most of the people, even they are from biotechnology, pharmacy, botany, zoology, most of the people will feel biochemistry as one of the toughest units, and trust me, if you are not good in the biochemistry, you cannot answer any even a single question also. Okay, it is one of the most important unit. Suppose example, if you are interested towards the research program and if you want to do research in biochemistry also, it is vast discipline having a great career opportunities also. Okay, now in very simple words, what exactly biochemistry, what we have to read in the chapter of biochemistry especially. So very simple, biochemistry, everyone please continue. So biochemistry means studying the chemistry of biomolecules. What are various biomolecules? Carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acid. So we have to read the chemistry of them, at the same time we have to read the biology of biomolecules, which means we have to read carbohydrate metabolism, protein, lipid metabolism, nucleic acid metabolism, and very important topic, enzymes. Now if we analyze the last 10 papers very clearly, from the unit 1 there are 6 topics which are oftenly repeated in the exam. Okay, which we are going to discuss very depth. Number 1, amino acids. Most of the students, whenever they are reading the amino acid topic, they just read the classification and they just leave it. They never ever ask that much simple question. Even when it comes to the set exam also, they never ask the question so simple from the classification. Most of the time questions will appear from numerical, either from pKa values or from the PI calculations. If not, the questions will be appear from properties. Only these are the various areas where the questions will be raised. And in the entire biochemistry, there are 2 toughest topic, entire biochemistry. Number 1 is proteins, number 1 is enzymes, and number 2 is enzyme. Undoubtedly very tough questions will appear, and highest number of questions in the entire chapter of unit 1 in the exam will appear only from the proteins. Whenever we are reading the proteins, most of the people, they just read the structure of the proteins very easily, whichever you covered in the masters, and you leave it. If you read in that way, trust me, you never crack even a single question also. When you are reading the protein, we have to read structural hierarchy. When I am explaining, it will become very easy. I am just giving you the overview. Primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. And very important, we have to read folding of proteins. We have to read kinetics of proteins. We have to read a method called as denaturation of the protein. And there is something, another unique topic called as a Ramachandran plot. Okay, these are the various topics. If you observe the question paper, it was repeated more than 10 times in the exam. Okay, so we have to cover every single area here. Then there is a no CSIR NET Life Sciences question paper, there is a no SET Life Sciences question paper without the question from the carbohydrate metabolism. The first question in the exam will appear from the carbohydrate metabolism only. Again, most of the students, when we consider carbohydrate metabolism, they just read glycolysis and they leave everything. No, when we have to read glycolysis, we have to read glycogenesis, we have to read glycogenolysis, we have to read gluconeogenesis, we have to read Krebs cycle, and we have to read ETC, we have to read PPP pathway, right? And we have to read oxidative phosphorylation. So all together we simply call it as the carbohydrate metabolism. Minimum 1 question or maximum 2 question, I can say that sometimes only from the carbohydrate metabolism you can expect 10 marks easily. That much important it is, and that much depth we have to read. And the toughest subtopic is enzymes. Most of the students don't answer even a single question from the enzymes because of its numerical calculation. It is not every time that only questions comes from the numerical. Most of the time questions comes from the graphical. Okay, in the enzymes we have to read everything: characteristics of the enzymes, factors affecting the enzymes, most importantly enzyme kinetics. So in the enzyme kinetics, everyone will read only one kinetics, that is Michael-Menton's kinetics. Okay, we have to read so many. We have to read LB plot. Okay, we have to read Eddy-Hofstee diagram. Okay, many varieties of kinetics we have to read. Apart from the kinetics, if the question missed from the kinetics, undoubtedly friends, the question will appear from the most important inhibition, which you read in your BSc and MSc also. Competitive inhibition, non-competitive inhibition, uncompetitive inhibition, everywhere question will appear. Apart from this, simplest questions will appear from the chemistry part, that is nucleic acid and lipids. You all read in your degree know what are the different type of the DNAs? Types of DNAs. A DNA, B DNA and Z DNA. The most common type. Which DNA found in the human body? B DNA, which is the most common form of the DNA that is found. So they may raise the questions from the different characteristics of all the DNAs. What is the length of this A DNA? One turn contain how many number of base pairs? What is the sugar conformation? What is the base conformation? Different characteristic features, they will raise the question. Okay, there are many other topics are there, but these are the topics which were very oftenly repeated in the exam. I have mentioned here exact topics which are very oftenly asked in the exam. Later I will share with you. Then the second unit, I can say for most of the students, it is one of the easiest unit for most of the students. Even though you are from pharmacy background, if you read 2 to 3 times, you can easily understand the chapter of cell biology. Okay, because you read mostly in the 12th level also, but we have to read a little advanced manner. When it comes to the cell biology, what exactly we read in the cell biology, you already read in the 12th standard also, 11th also. We start with the organelles, all the cell organelles. We'll start with the plasma membrane. Correct na? You know, out of 10 questions appeared in, suppose let's consider 5 part C questions are appearing in the exam, at least one question they specifically rise from the plasma membrane, which we have to read extreme depth. Structure of the plasma membrane, transport mediated by the plasma membrane. What does the plasma membrane made up of? Lipids, proteins, carbohydrates and cholesterol. Correct na? So we have to read the composition of all this, and we have to read the functions, and most importantly we have to read the techniques related to it. Very important. Then variety of cell organelles. The most important organelles which are very oftenly asked in the exam according to the previous year papers are RER, SER, rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, nucleus, mitochondria, and very important one, cytoskeleton. From this they used to ask questions very oftenly. When I say organelles, how exactly questions will be asked? There are only 2 ways of asking the questions. Either questions will be from the statement related, or the questions comes from the matching. So mostly questions may come from structure, or enzymes involved in the organelles, or deficiency diseases caused by the deficiency of those enzymes present in the organelle. Suppose example, there is a simple question, every one of you answer online people. Answer simple question, which of the following cell organelles are involved in the programmed cell death? What is called programmed cell death first of all? Apoptosis. Correct na? What are the major enzymes involved in the apoptosis? which are caspases, correct na? Where these caspases are generally located, they mostly located in the mitochondria, they located in the lysosomes also, they located in the Golgi complex also, but majorly they located in the mitochondria, correct na? In very simple questions only comes in terms of the part B. Now suppose example, any organelle wants to move inside the cell. Suppose inside the cell an organelle wants to move, a vesicle wants to move. If anything wants to move inside, what kind of a proteins we require? Anything wants to move inside the cell, we require motor proteins, correct na? What are the examples of the motor proteins? Remember na everyone, dynein, kinesin. They are said to be what? Motor proteins. We read na actin, myosin, correct na? Microtubules, microfilaments, actin filaments. These are all basically belongs to what? Cytoskeleton. They are all said to be cytoskeletal operators. So again the questions directly comes from here with respect to the diagrammatic based. Mostly from the diagrammatic based only questions will appear. Now apart from the organelles, what is the most important topic where the question appears every single time? I can say that without this there is a no question paper only, that is cell cycle regulation. Mostly they won't ask the question between mitosis and meiosis differentiation, that you never ever get. We always get the questions from regulatory part, that is the different type of cyclins involved and different type of CDKs involved in the regulation of the cell cycle, correct na? Trust me, in the entire chapter of unit 2, the toughest question only comes from here. 90% of the students are unable to answer the question due to lack of understanding the given question. So you have to read maximum depth of this topic, then only we can answer at least one question from here. Then another question which is repeatedly asked in the exam, that is chromosomal organization, where we have to majorly focus on heterochromatin as well as the euchromatin regulation. It is completely about the regulation, and recently most of the questions were asked from the histone protein. Surprisingly, in the CSIR 2024 also most of the questions were asked from the histone proteins only, okay, with respect to the histone code, okay, that we will read very elaboratively. In the chapter of cell biology, there is only one topic where you get the numerical questions, that is microbial physiology. There are only two concepts are there. One is you can get the questions from growth curve, that is lag phase, log phase, stationary phase, decline phase. If not, you get the questions from the generation time. All microbiology people can answer them very easily, right? So these are the only two areas where the questions will be appeared from this particular unit 2. So an average, same like a biochemistry only, an average you will get 26 to 30 marks from the unit 2 also. Then unit 2 is undoubtedly easy, anyone can read. After biochemistry, undoubtedly another toughest unit is unit 3, that is fundamental processes or molecular biology. There is no doubt, if you look into the 2025 paper which happened in the March, in the morning shift the highest number of questions appeared from molecular biology. In the evening shift, highest questions appeared from techniques. I am saying highest number of questions, and this is one of the very toughest unit which is linked to many other units. Okay, most of you people read in your MSc, whatever you read is purely a very basic level in even your MSc also. Here you have to read extreme depth of the concept. Mostly where the questions will appear, the first question will appear in the exam exclusively from the replication. So when I say replication, you get the questions from prokaryotic also and eukaryotic also, and from the last 4 exams questions are always asked by comparing prokaryotic with eukaryotic. So the questions 90% comes from enzymes, rules and processes. What is the major DNA polymerase in the prokaryotic organisms? Major DNA polymerase in the prokaryotes. All the online people quickly answer. What is the major DNA polymerase enzyme in the prokaryotic organisms? Quickly. Good. Which is polymerase 3. You all read MSc first year only. BSc second year only you read. What is the major enzyme DNA polymerase in the eukaryotes? Polymerase delta. Correct na? So whatever I am explaining is a small basic, that much simple they never ask. Okay, the questions comes extremely depth from the processes. So number one question undoubtedly comes from the replication, then followed by the question comes from transcription. Again, comparison between prokaryotic transcription and eukaryotic transcription. Okay, and again there is a no CSIR NET Life Sciences question paper without the question from RNA processing. That is post-transcriptional processes, which you read now. What are those post-transcriptional processes? 5' capping, then 3' polyadenylation and splicing. Correct na? These three are said to be what processes? Post-transcriptional processes or RNA processing. Now all of you please answer where this particular post-transcriptional processes will happen in the eukaryotes. Ragini, where it will happen? In the eukaryotic organism, where it will happen? In the eukaryotic organisms. Where it will happen? In the nucleus. And where it occur in the prokaryotic organisms? Every one of you please answer, online people, very quickly. Where is the site of a post-transcriptional processes in the prokaryotes? Where it is? There is no post-transcriptional processes in the prokaryotes. Correct na? Prokaryotes never. Have you observed prokaryotic mRNA undergoing capping? In case of prokaryotes, transcription, translation are coupled. Both happens at the same time. Correct na? When mRNA comes out, immediately protein ribosomes attaches and start the synthesis of proteins. So it never happens. You are not reading even 11th standard basics also. How can you crack these exams? Good. Okay. Next and very important topic is what? Operons. Undoubtedly again there is no question paper without this, that is lac-operon and tryptophan operon. For the set level, if you read lac and tryptophan operon, it is enough. For the CSIR level, we have to read lac-operon, tryptophan operon and arabinose operon. Okay, these three operons we have to read mandatorily. I think you people remember few days back we have read DNA repair mechanisms. That is also very important. Undoubtedly you will get the question. Okay, so again from unit 6 also an average you get 26 to 30 marks undoubtedly. Then unit 4, I can say in the entire CSIR NET Life Sciences syllabus there are 3 units which are very bigger. That is unit 1, unit 1, unit 4 and unit 13. These 3 are very biggest units. Okay. The reason behind that, they have merged many subunits into one unit. That's why it's said to be one of the biggest unit. So see here, I believe last time we read it and this time we'll read more efficiently. Cell signaling, cell communication, cancer, host to pathogen interaction and immunology. You all people read in immunology as one of the subject in your MSc. So you read immunology in one semester, but here immunology is just one subunit. Then imagine how vast this syllabus of unit 4 is. Now I never encourage any one of you to leave this. See here from part C in the unit 4 we get 5 to 7 questions. Part B also we get 4 to 6 questions. If you are feeling extremely hectic and that you cannot answer all the questions, the thing what you can do is you can skip the immunology, but you have to become super expert in signaling, communication, cancer, host to pathogen. Then undoubtedly you can skip the immunology. But I encourage all of you, instead of leaving the immunology, try to focus on most important topics of the immunology. It will help you a lot. See here, the subunit seems to be so simple, cell signaling. What are the type of signalings that we have to read? Anyone remember? We have to read almost every type of a signaling pathways. Start with GPCR signaling pathway, MAP kinase pathway, JAK-STAT pathway, insulin signaling pathway, hedgehog pathway, Wnt signaling, Notch delta, beta catenin. It seems to be very new for some people who haven't read before, but you all read in your botany also, but you might forgot. Okay, zoology also you read, biotechnology, everyone read this. Pharmacy people, they never read all this. Okay, rest everyone read, you forgot, or you just by hearted it. Now, apart from this, we have to read every single secondary messengers. Cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, calcium, IP3, NO, all we have to read it. And trust me, what is the speciality of this particular cell signaling concept? The speciality is, it is 100% conceptual. If you know the concept, you can answer. Very less amount of the information to be remembered. Now, the advantage with the cell communication, and there is one more topic, host pathogen interaction, both are purely theoretical. Okay, it just take 8 to 9 classes to complete cell communication and host pathogen interactions. You can remember all. Trust me, 10 questions 10 marks you will get from those two. It is easily, you can remember and easily you can answer. Again, another toughest topic in this unit is cancer. When it comes to the cancer biology, questions comes from every corner, which means experimental, graphical, very analytical questions will appear from the cancer. See, and sometimes very simple questions will appear from the cancer, like the differences between normal cell and cancer cell, the difference between benign tumor and malignant tumor, types of the cancers, most important characteristics of the cancers, genetics of the cancers, such as proto-oncogenes, oncogenes, and treatment related to the cancer. Advanced level questions only will come, but with a thorough knowledge on the concept, you can answer any kind of a given question. Then, when it comes to the immunology, of course, it is almost impossible to read the entire immunology and remember it very clearly. Hence, while teaching the lesson, I will suggest most important topics that are oftenly repeated in the exam, such as the most oftenly repeated in the exam. We will discuss elaborately when we are doing that. Antibodies, B cell receptor, T cell receptors, hybridoma technology, that is preparation of the monoclonal and polyclonal antibodies. Correct na? And another very important one, autoimmune diseases and MHC complexes, major histocompatibility proteins, and complementation. There are 7 to 8 important topics are there where questions were repeatedly asked in the exam. You people focus on only that. Anyway, I will discuss the complete immunology more elaboratively next time whenever we are doing compared to the previous, but you people can focus on these subunits, okay, or subtopics that I'll explain. Then after unit 4, unit 5, that is developmental biology. What is the speciality of this particular unit 5 developmental biology is that every time, see, sometimes it is observed but it is not accurate all the time. Sometimes from one unit they give more number of questions in the June exam. From the same unit they will give less number of questions in the December exam. I am saying an example. Suppose from unit 6 plant physiology, if more questions appeared in the June, less questions will appear in the December. Suppose unit 7 less questions appeared in the June in the human physiology, more questions appear from the December. Sometimes it happens from some units, but when we consider the developmental biology, every single time you just keep in your mind 5 part C questions will appear undoubtedly. 3 to 4 minimum number of part B questions will appear, which means that nearly 20 to 26 marks definitely comes from this particular unit. And again, except zoology people, everyone feels this unit is the difficult. Okay, so but we can read this unit very elaboratively. And what is the advantage of this unit? If all of you spend 10 days continuously on your preparation, you can crack this unit. Because 90% of the time all the questions comes from the direct lines of the standard reference book Gilbert. Okay, they won't give too much complex questions. They'll give a very straightforward questions only with a twist. So if you are very thorough with this standard reference book, which we will do it in the PPTs, you can easily answer the given questions. Okay, now what exactly the developmental biology? We read na, developmental biology means starting from the gamete formation, such as formation of sperm and egg. When the sperm and egg fuses, we generally call fertilization. Then there is a fertilization give rise to zygote. Zygote undergoes what? Series of divisions, which is called as cleavage, and it is going to give rise to what? Blastula. Okay, blastula. Then blastula giving rise to gastrula. Gastrula means formation of germ layers, ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. Finally we get what? Organs, organogenesis. So what is this lesson is all about? From the gamete formation till the organogenesis, we have to read every single event by using or with the help of different model organisms. In simple example, how the fertilization happens in the mammals, how the fertilization happens in the frogs, how the fertilization happens in the sea urchin. So every event of the life we have to read by using different model organisms as the examples. That's why this seems to be little complicated unit, but if you read consistently without giving up for 10 days, trust me, 20 to 25 marks are in your hand. Okay, and while explaining, if you just read the PPT itself, enough. Correct na? It seems to be very easy if you thoroughly read the PPT. Question never ever comes beyond the level of the PPT also. Okay, see here we have to read fertilization in model organisms such as amphibian, sea urchin, mammals. Okay, and we have to read about the cleavage, how the cleavage happen in the insects, birds, amphibians and mammals. And very tough questions such as vulva formation. What is called vulva? External genitalis. So how the external genitalis can be formed in the C. elegans. Why we are reading only in the C. elegans? Why we are not reading in the human beings? Because C. elegans is the perfect model organisms to study this process very easily under the microscope, because it is completely a transparent creature, which is a nematode. That's why we will choose a specific model organism for a specific process, right? And even when we are reading the organogenesis, we understand how islands got formed, how limbs got developed, how brain got developed by using different model organisms. It seems to be complicated, but with a thorough understanding, I can say this is one of the easiest unit among the syllabus and scoring unit. Because every year 25 marks are in your hand if you read 10 days consistently. Then after unit 5, unit 6, I can say one of the toughest subunit. The reason behind that, every type of a question will appear from the plant physiology, that is experimental, analytical, logical, graphical, statement related, matching. Every type of a question will appear from the plant physiology. Even though you are from a zoology, biotechnology or whatever the type of a background you may belongs to, it is mandatory that I want you to become expert in the plant physiology. What are the various subtopics of the plant physiology which we are already reading? Photosynthesis. You may get the questions from the light reactions or dark reaction. Mostly questions will appear from the dark reactions only compared to the light, or sometimes the question will come from both areas. Then secondary metabolites. 90% of the time there are only two ways of asking the question, either statement or matching, where we have to read about terpenes, phenols, nitrogen containing compounds. When it comes to the plant hormones, again in the entire plant physiology chapter, the toughest subunit is plant hormone, where we have to read auxin, zebralenine, cytokinin, ethylene, abscisic acid, jasmonic acid, brassinosteroid and salicylic acid. These are the various hormones we have to read elaboratively and very depth. We already read na. One more time we will read it. You have to read extreme depth of these concepts. Then nitrogen metabolism topic seems to be very small but very lengthy topic. Okay, most of the time question comes from the genes involved in the nitrogen fixation, enzymes involved in the nitrogen fixation. Straightforward questions only will appear. And if experimental based question will come, we will get from sensory photobiology, that is phytochrome, cryptochrome, phototropins. We read na long day plants, short day plants, and the mechanism of photoperiodism. And in the entire plant physiology, the most dry concept is stress physiology. Okay, at least one question we will get it. Again, from this chapter, minimum of 26 to 30 marks will appear in the exam. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether what category you belongs to or whatever the background of MSc or MPharm or whatever it may be. If you want to qualify the CSIR or SET exam, it is important you have to read these 6 units. Same goes with the GATE Excel also. Right. Next unit 7, which is human physiology. See, the people in the MSc, if you are belongs to the zoology background, you can easily do this without having any kind of a confusion. But even pharmacy people also can easily do with the questions of human physiology, because most of the questions are clinical based questions rather than the direct question. An example, the questions are like this. A person was diagnosed with the stomach cancer and he was completely cured with the chemotherapy, right? After a few years, again the tumor appeared in the pancreas. So what will be the most suitable reason for the reappearance of the tumor in the pancreas? This kind of a simple and clinical based questions only will come, but not all are clinical based questions. Some are straightforward questions also. In the entire human physiology, the highest number of questions comes from endocrine system, where we have to read a different type of hormones, and we have to read most importantly the hormone derived from which precursor. In other words, which amino acid is given rise to this hormone. Most important, from which gland it is released from. And very important, what most of the students will skip, the receptors used by that hormone. And very important, regulation. We don't get most of the questions from the diseases. Okay, we get questions either clinical based or application based we will get from the endocrine. Then next simple subunit, blood and cardiovascular system. Most of the questions either appear from blood grouping or conduction system of the heart. They never ask the question about how the blood is flowing in the heart, how the heartbeat occur. Okay, so what is called hyperpolarization, depolarization, ventricular repolarization, arterial depolarization, this kind of questions will appear. If not from the conduction system of the heart, questions will oftenly comes from the ECG. Okay, what does the ST wave represents, what is the P wave represents, what is the major reason of the ischemic heart disease. This kind of questions will appear from the ECG. Whenever we are discussing, we will see that. And in the entire human physiology, easiest questions comes from excretory system. Okay, especially either from glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, tubular secretion. Mostly questions are matching based. And again, in the entire human physiology, toughest questions comes from nervous system. Either the questions comes from neurotransmitters or the questions comes from resting membrane potential and action potential. Mostly graphical only will come. Okay, and again respiratory system is one of the most important unit. 90% questions are graphical or statement related. Especially questions will come from saturation curve of oxygen and hemoglobin. Okay, so what are the various factors affecting the oxygen hemoglobin curve, saturation curve? Mostly, if not, questions comes from diseases. If the questions asked from the diseases, only from the respiratory system they may ask. Asthma, bronchitis, COPD, but not very simple questions that they link either towards the statements or the graphical. So botany people or biotechnology people, they may feel little difficult of this unit, but I encourage all of you to read endocrine, cardiovascular system, respiratory system and excretory. If you read at least these 4 subunits, you can answer at least 2 questions in the exam, and that 2 questions are more than enough. Then among all, another toughest unit, I can't say lengthy unit, toughest unit is genetics. Even all the people, even the people who are from the core zoology or core genetics also, again in the genetics 5 part C questions will appear. Out of 5, hardly people can answer only 1 correctly. Okay, that much lengthy, tricky questions will appear in the exam, or 2 questions. We already read na what are the various important concepts here, which we covered already. Structural and numerical alterations. Correct na? What are those 4 structural and numerical alteration? Deletion, duplication, inversion, translocation. At least 1 question surely will come from here. Mostly questions from inversion and translocation. Then questions from variety of mutations. All the type of mutations we can expect the questions. And in the entire genetics, one more toughest topic is pedigree analysis. Okay, very tricky questions will appear from the pedigree. You require a brilliant analysis of the given condition. Then numerical questions will come from linkage and mapping, and I believe you all remember we read bacterial genetics, that is conjugation, transformation, transduction. From there we people can expect this particular questions, right? Numerical I am saying. And easiest questions comes from Mendel and extra Mendel. We read na, what we read in the extra Mendel principles? Codominance, pleiotropy and epistasis, complementation, sex linked, sex limited, sex influencer characteristics. For Mendel principles we get statistical problem. What rules? Multiplicative rule and additive rule. Okay, again genetics is a type of a chapter where you can expect 26 to 30 marks undoubtedly. Okay, see, out of a 5 part C, if you answer 2 part C, that is really great. Okay, and every unit you have to do this only, because every unit you get 5 part C. Your goal is not to answer 5 part C, your goal is to answer just 2, because if we are preparing for 10 subunits, 50 questions will appear. What is our goal here? To answer only 20. So every subunit you answer only 2 questions, and in other categories you have to answer only 18. Some categories we have to answer only 16. So it is not that much difficult. You have to choose the questions very carefully. Now after genetics, so unit 1 to 6 is very important, unit 8 genetics is important. Then later another very important topic is ecology. What all the students will do, biotechnology, microbiology people, they just leave ecology, because ecology is very much boring unit, but trust me, highly scoring unit is ecology and evolution. You blindly keep it in your mind, more than 30 marks surely will appear from this chapter of ecology, more than 30. Undoubtedly you will get it. And what exactly we have to read in the ecology? I have told you, know, in the ecology you have to start with an individual. You have to start with an individual, group of individuals called as population, group of different populations called as community, group of different communities are ecosystem, group of different ecosystems biomes, group of different biomes biosphere. So starting from an individual organism till the biosphere we have to read completely. It's a very big unit, very simple unit, but 100% you have to remember. If you can't, and in this chapter whatever you read, it never comes. Okay, always they will take the example, they will always consider the example which are recently discovered in the nature. Okay, and they will ask us to analyze that. Trust me, even though you read the concept so depth, if you don't apply, you can't answer even single question also in the ecology chapter. But trust me, among all, easiest chapter to understand, but most difficult unit to answer the questions, and highest weightage. Consider undoubtedly you will get more than 30 marks in the exam. Okay, for this unit I never ever say that PPT is enough. No, for this even though you read 2 to 3 standard reference books, there is no use if you don't have a application based knowledge. Okay, this chapter you can answer only with thorough understanding of the given question. Okay, all right. So remaining we will discuss in the upcoming class, that is evolution, then applied biology and methods in biology. It is mandatory to read this unit, methods in biology, whatever the background we are, because unit 1 is linked with this, unit 2 is linked with this, unit 3 and 4 is linked with this unit, because every technique starting from statistical techniques. What are the statistical techniques we read? We read in all the disciplines, no? Pharmacy also we read statistical techniques. What are the statistical techniques we read? What we know? ANOVA, chi-square, t-test, correct na? These are all what? Statistical technique. What are the electrophysiological techniques? ECG, EEG, MRI, fMRI. These are all what? Electrophysiological techniques. What are spectroscopy? UV, IR, NMR, CD, FTIR, all these spectroscopic techniques, correct na? And microscopic techniques. So all the questions comes from the techniques that we are reading, and it is one of the mandatory unit everyone has to read. If you are going to the PhD or a research program, you have to become super expert in the methods in biology. Then only you can handle the instrumentation very easily in the laboratories. Okay. Now, after qualifying the CSIR exam, what are the exact career opportunities that one having currently in India? Okay, you can do your PhD in India, which is of how many years? If you consider a big institute such as IISCs, IITs, IZERs, NITs, it will take a minimum of 5 years, maximum it will take 7 years also, depending on the guide, depending on the quality research that we are doing. And if it is an abroad, the PhD will be hardly 3.5 years or 4 years. Okay, then widely most of the people preferring is teaching or professorship. Okay, so for JRF there will be always age limit. What is the difference between this JRF and PhD again? Because PhD is of 5 years, which contain first 2 years are JRF, next 3 years are SRF. If you complete these 2 programs, then only you will be awarded with PhD degree. Some students, what they will do, they are not interested in doing PhD, so they will just do 2 years of JRF. They will do just 2 years of JRF and they will move to abroad, right? And there they will continue the PhD. Why they will do some people JRF? Sometimes JRF will be 1 year project, or sometimes it will be the 2 years project, depending on the requirement. Okay. Some people, once they do the JRF, they'll get the publication. By using that publication, they will apply to the abroad and they'll continue the research over there. For that, they will prefer the JRF. Okay. And apart from this, we can work in private corporates, public sector units also with the highest packages only. Okay. Such as Reliance, top companies, L'Oreal, Cipla, GSK, Dr. Reddy's, Syngene. If you want to work in any of these institutes or organization, the only department that everyone recommend is R&D. If you go to the production or quality control departments, the packages will be always lower. If you want to grow in the career, always R&D department will be the most preferable department. And even in the DRDO, every year they are recruiting the JRF exclusively who qualified the life sciences only. And even you consider some of the, what we can say, public sectors such as ONGCs, Power Thermal Corporation, IOCs, Indian Oil Corporation, BHEL, they are all BEL, they are also taking the people who qualified the NET, and these are all permanent jobs. Okay, the starting salary will be only more than 1 lakh if you crack here. And especially public sectors or public, these sectors mostly prefer the candidates either from GATE exam or from the NET exam. If you just qualify the GATE Excel or GATE BT, you can apply here directly. Okay, but here the posts are very limited. We don't know when the post will be released, but competition is also very less, everything depending on your instrumental knowledge, okay, rather than the theoretical knowledge, okay. And some people are, what they are doing, they are opening their own labs. They are opening their own labs and providing the instrumentation training, starting with every single technique that is there in the methods in biology. So these labs are also working very good, because for these kind of labs, whomever having interest to open these labs, government is also giving the fund, grant, to open this lab and train the young students, okay. Then apart from this, see here, this is according to the 2023. These are the starting salaries in different pharmaceutical and biotechnological companies. Now let's consider the hike may be 10 to 15% in 2025. Okay, among all these, the highest department will be obviously R&D department. Okay, nowadays vaccines technology also developed very vast manner, and you are having good opportunities there. Okay, and if you consider cities like New Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, this will be the package. See here, the people who qualified MSc just now, who did botany, zoology, biotechnology, see the salary, 2 lakh to 12 lakh per annum, and that too great exceptional quality and skills. If you consider a very beginner, your entire salary will be not more than 3 lakhs per year. Okay, so we are having opportunities but very limited. Okay, I can say like this, out of 1,000 people, I am talking about the industrial jobs, not the research oriented. Out of 1,000 people, hardly 5 to 6 people can shine up to 1 lakh after 4 to 5 years of their continuous career in that specific area. But when we do research, in the PhD itself, you will get the stipend of around 55,000. Once you complete the PhD, and if you want to continue the postdoc, or if you want to join as an assistant professor in any IITs or NITs, your starting package only will be 1.5 lakh. And before you reach 40 years, it will easily reach 4 to 5 lakhs. Okay, so research having a great career compared to the production and these departments in the industries, research as well as the lecturership. These two are having the good and vast opportunities. Okay, okay. So take some break. We will start with the unit evolution, and we'll start with the rDNA technology. Okay, is it clear, all online people? So remaining 3 to 4 subunits I will explain while directly we are discussing. Okay. Okay. Everyone join at sharp 11. Okay, we'll continue the rDNA technology. Okay, please join directly through the app itself. Okay. See, this exam we require only 3 qualities. One is first important